recording of the MA Properties Online team. We're here for another episode of Coffee with MA Properties Online, and our guest today is Andrew Marquis of Guaranteed Rate. So thank you for joining us,
Thanks
Andrew.
so much for having me, Jenny.
Okay. So, Andrew, what's the difference between a mortgage broker and a mortgage lender?
That's a great question, Danny. And I like to break it into three segments. So you have mortgage broker, you have mortgage banker, and then you have your traditional savings and loan bank. Okay. So let's start with a mortgage broker. And there's really pros and cons of each one. So I don't want to say one's better than the other because they all have some benefits and some drawbacks. A mortgage broker is an agent that represents various lenders but doesn't actually make the loan and simply arranges it. So you're the buyer, you come to a mortgage broker and you say, I'd like to take a mortgage for X. They're going to say, okay, they're going to take in your information, Danny. They're going to look at a number of different lenders or banks they work with, and they're going to try to figure out where that loan best fits. Now, there can be some advantages. Maybe they have more access to programs that way, perhaps. And their pricing is good, because they can shop it around. It is a wholesale loan, so it's not like they're taking your loan and going to, Bank of America on the corner. They have a wholesale relationship with those lenders. So that's a mortgage broker. We're arranging, but we're not actually making the loan. It's not our money. Okay, we're in between. We're working with the bank to arrange that loan. A mortgage banker, which is what Guaranteed Rate is we're a direct lender. So essentially what we do is we have a line of loans that we fund and service on our own. We have another line of loans that we fund, and then the lender will retain servicing post-closing. But everything that we're handling is being processed, underwritten, and funded in-house. So you come to Guaranteed Rate. We have the benefits of a mortgage broker where we have a wide breadth of options, all those investors, so we can figure out, certain banks come in and out of the market on pricing, so we want to make sure that we're working with a bank that's got an aggressive price. But we also want to make sure we have a solution, if you have a unique situation. So that's a mortgage banker. Again, we're processing that loan, we're underwriting that loan, and then we're funding you with our money. Okay?
Yeah.
And then you have your traditional savings and loan. Now, a bank from time to time can have very aggressive rates. Typically, their breadth of programs is lower because they just have what's on their menu, essentially. And the one thing with a bank that could potentially be a drawback is they can be clunkier. So if it's a big bank, you might think you're going down to the corner to get that loan, and they're doing everything at that bank. 9 times out of 10, they're not. They're shipping that file to a processing hub that could be out of state. The communication could be more fragmented. And a lot of times you're dealing with an individual at that bank that might represent consumer loans, checking and savings accounts, auto loans. They're not specializing in just home loans, whereas if you work with a mortgage broker or mortgage banker, all that person does is mortgage loans. That's the only lingo they speak. So I think nowadays where, so many of these situations are so complicated that to have someone that's really specialized and just focuses on that one task, you're going to achieve a better result.
Okay, fantastic. That's the best explanation I've heard of the differences between the three. So thank you very much for that. And that concludes another episode of Coffee with MA Properties Online. And our guest today has been Andrew Marquis of Guaranteed Rate, and his information will be following. And if you'd like to see more of these, then subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And there's a whole lot more on there. So thank you again for coming, Andrew.
My pleasure.
Hi there, it's Marcus Collins here. Thanks for watching this episode of Coffee with MA Properties Online on YouTube. If you want to stay up to date with future episodes, click subscribe just below me or click on this list to see lots of other great videos. Thanks for watching.